Hi guys, this is Dr. Vogel from Kaiser University. This class is organizational behavior, internal management, and it's been a while since I make recordings for you. Since I wasn't able to see you today, I want to compensate with being with you in this fashion, this way. Um, okay, we did see what happens in a toxic organization like cults. Okay, the reason I brought it up is because it is important to study how cults work. Because it's the same thing in companies. Okay, it doesn't get to extreme of suicide, but a lot of people follow, for example, an organization uh, like Facebook. Um, and maybe that's not the right example. For example, um, Steve Jobs. Okay, he has been an icon of Apple, and a lot of people find him to be almost um, not a religious figure, but you do remember that in organizational behavior you have um, a spokesperson, an image, somebody who has a who is like the face of the company, but that can it can become so um, in, unbalanced that you can get to a cult kind of feeling. Um, it doesn't have to be let me it doesn't have to be like you all commit mass suicide to be a cult. To be honest, a cult is something that is an organization which is sick in many ways, and it doesn't function the way it is. And often, individual um, in front of that, it is followed almost to the point of religious um, adoration or divinity. Let me give you an example. The one that I know for sure where that has happened, which is Tony Robbins. Okay, Tony Robbins, and I'm not saying anything bad about Tony Robbins. Um, well, I am. Yeah, I am saying something bad. This guy is the master. For the last, let me see, for the last 28, 29 years, the master of motivation. Now he is so um, charismatic uh, that he has created an organization in which people worship him. Okay, I'm talking about. I know people who have spent $200,000 in training that you could have gotten for like $200, but they worship this guy. This guy, he's a master, master salesperson. He's a master motivator. But the problem is, what happens when you put? And believe me, I have a family member who spent like $200,000 in like the last 30 years following this guy and going to every seminar that this guy has put together. Now the problem is with these people is that they put the hope not in the seminar and the methods, but on the guy. And when this guy goes, because he's gonna die, a lot of people are gonna be feel helpless, that they don't have their guru anymore. So I'm just trying to make a distinction that it doesn't have to be like a religious cult to be kind of a cult. Um, when personalities, and it happens with also with you remember the Beatles. I mean, girls would faint when they saw the Beatles, okay, and they worshipped them. So that kind of what does that tell you about organizational behavior? Not only does it tell you about the organization, but it tells you about the need of human beings to worship something, to have something that they look up to, someone that they can look up to, that they can, and how, the problem is that when you look up to someone who's really like us, a human being, you're going to be disappointed most of the time, okay? Um, so now let's go to the regular organization, and that regular is quote unquote because there's no such a thing as a regular organization, but there is something that they all share. And for example, this can be companies, NGOs or whatever. Um, but this is job satisfaction by country. I think it is interesting. We're not gonna go into the details and why we. Well, you may want to speculate yourselves on why uh, it is this way. But for example, this is level of satisfaction, and Denmark is number one. Okay, in this graph. And by the way, I think that you should look into, not I think, actually you have to, um, in the concept of hygge. And I know I pronounced it uh, um, weird because it's a weird word. Um, to be honest, it's a weird word that doesn't have a translation in English or Spanish. So why is it important? You will see Danish concept of hygge. There you go. Okay. It is a concept of well-being that it has no direct translation. There's no word in English or Spanish direct translation, but they have a concept. And let's see what the concept is. Hygge, and again, I'm just repeating the way I heard somebody say it. But the concept is it means creating a warm atmosphere and enjoying the good things in life with good people. Okay, this is kind of, this is understandable, but it's kind of difficult to translate into one word. Okay, but it's important that you're aware of this concept because that means that cultures have different ways of valuing life, and of course by extension of work. And if they have a special word for that we don't, it should tell you that culture has a lot to do with job satisfaction. And, lo and behold, they have the highest level. Okay, then Switzerland, USA, Norway, Sweden, Germany, whatever. Um, if you realize that, we're kind of close, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, to Scandinavia. Okay, and yes, Scandinavian countries, and I like to do this since we're playing with a recording. So I like the fact that I can do all this stuff with you guys and you listening, and so this is interactive. Well, not interactive, but you can see a lot of movement. Scandinavia, if you look at it, look at the map of Scandinavia. Um, why is that important? Well, you will see in a second. But we're talking about Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark. Um, so what do they have in common? And we saw on the chart that Poland was, kind of happy too. Um, so there's something about this place where, and by the way, where did you think Vikings came from? From Norway, Sweden, Denmark, uh, Netherlands, not so much, but from all this place. And if you realize, and I don't know if you've seen the pictures of Vikings, and I'll show you another. They don't look that educated, to be honest. So we have to figure out why. How did they become from being the barbarians that they were um, to being one of the most educated and cultured people? Um, and if you look at images of Vikings, they don't look that peaceful to me. And I'll show you. Maybe this is a little bit slow, but before we come, yeah. So here, okay. So I don't know about you guys, but they don't look that friendly. And to be honest, they don't look that cultured, and they don't look that uh, peaceful, or But somehow these people developed into one of uh, the most cultured and um, how can I say this, educated and civilized countries in the world. Um, and there must be something, right? If we haven't started, we should start and trying to understand why. There has to be a reason. And there has to be a reason why Japanese, they have a lot of money, but they're not happy. They don't have job satisfaction. So there has to be a reason. And what are the things that we think cause job satisfaction? You know, and before we go into that, we've talked about that money is not everything. People know that. Religious people have always told us that, but now science has caught up. So let's look at a graph about, okay, if money made you happier, why is it that when you are only making $15,000, um, there's some people that are really satisfied with that? And why is it that when you go up, it doesn't necessarily, see, it doesn't fit the graph very well? Okay, this line is an attempt to make it into a linear function. Okay, but to be honest, it's scattered all over the place. And in math, you know that this is not necessarily the best representation. The point is that it's all over the place. So it doesn't have, you know how much you get paid. You can actually be really really miserable in a high paid job. Um, so what happens when you're dissatisfied in an organization? Okay, there are different ways you can respond. And active, passive. I mean, active should tell you about something about action. Passive should tell you something about not taking action. Constructive, you should think about things that will contribute to the health of the organization. And destructive, something that doesn't contribute, something that is negative, something that will destroy. So let's see, active, constructive could say, okay, I'm going to say something about it. You know, there's a problem. People are not being treated right in the department of the inventory, you know, or whatever, or the finance department, and I don't like it, and I think I should say something about it. So I go ahead and have an active, constructive response. I say something about it. Okay. Of course, now there's some people that wouldn't say anything because they're scared. Some people will be scared of saying something. Okay, which it is actually not here. But some people are afraid. They want to be active, they want to be constructive, but they're afraid. Okay, why? They're afraid because maybe the culture is negative in the sense that if you bring something to the table or you express something that's not right, maybe they don't like that very much, and you will get fired. So that could be a problem. But you as a person have a choice. Also to be passive and constructive. Loyalty. Loyalty, see, you don't see loyalty. You can't see it. You can see disloyalty. That is something that somebody did wrong. But loyalty, it's kind of hard to see. It's basically something you observe in somebody in a long period of time, how loyal they've been to an organization. But it's passive because it's difficult to see. There's no action involved. Now, destructive is, you know, as a response to something that you're not satisfied. Active would be, okay, let me get out of here. Okay, that why is that destructive? Because it doesn't do good to anyone. Okay, unless that's gonna give the organization a hint that things are not going that great. If I'm losing all my people, you know, they're being active and destructive, I'm losing everyone, there must be something that I am, as a boss, I'm doing wrong. The same thing with the religious organization or the cult thing that we saw. If people are happy, there's something, and they're leaving, well, I got to think about what am I doing wrong. Now, the other thing is, okay, destructive and passive. Well, what you do is a lot of people just say, okay, you know what, I don't like this place. I'm just gonna do my job. But you know what? Since you're not satisfied, what happened with the job? You don't do it right. So you neglect. You stop doing you stop you don't do things that you should be doing, or you do them in a way that is not satisfactory. So yeah, it's passive because in your heart you're complaining, you don't like the company, you don't like your job, but I don't want to say anything, so I'll just don't do any more than I'm supposed to do. That's really destructive. Why? Because that has to do with mediocrity. Okay, so these are I'm not saying these are just ways that people react to job dissatisfaction. And let me continue in a minute with another video. Okay, Brian, I'm gonna try to to do this right again, and hopefully this will work.